It's also the case that many African politicians have quoted Shakespeare on important occasions, and a particularly well-known fan of Shakespeare was Nelson Mandela, who is known to have written in the so-called Robben Island Bible, which is the collected works of Shakespeare, which there was a copy of in the prison in which he was held. He quoted his favourite verse, which comes from Julius Caesar, and is, of course, cowards die many times before their death, the valiant never taste of death but once. And in fact, Shakespeare was much quoted in African National Congress circles for many, many years. So there's all this history in Africa, and somehow the rhythms, the ideas, the language that Shakespeare used have a universal appeal which works in Africa as well as in other places, and he was really a quite extraordinary person, a very inventive and creative person on a level which has barely, if ever, been surpassed in literature ever since. So I can understand why that appeal exists, and that's really why we want to make a big event of the 400th anniversary of his death, because he has had such an impact throughout the world. We're going to mark this throughout the world, but in terms of what we're doing in Ethiopia, what we're planning to do, we're going to work very closely with the British Council, and one of our ideas is to have a group of storytellers who have adapted a Shakespeare play to local circumstances and will take it round a number of Ethiopian universities and deliver the play to audiences around the country. We would also like to make a documentary of that initiative. In addition, we're going to get some of the famous Ethiopian actors who have played in Shakespeare over the years to record their favourite Shakespearean phrase, and we will put a compilation of this material together on YouTube and on Facebook, and we'll tweet the material, which I think is going to be a really enjoyable production, and of course we'll be able to see which phrases they've chosen and perhaps find out why they've chosen those particular phrases. And I'm sure there will be lots of other occasions on which we mark this important anniversary. So for example, I would expect when we have our National Day parties, the Queen's birthday party in Addis Ababa, but also in Djibouti, that Shakespeare will feature in some way in those celebrations. I unfortunately won't be here anymore because I leave Addis Ababa as ambassador at the end of this week, but I have a lot of really enthusiastic colleagues who are going to take these initiatives forward, and I think will mark the anniversary of Shakespeare's death in a really appropriate but interesting and creative way next year.